Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the shop. Today we're going to try working on a Honda 2000. It's a Honda EU2000 generator, one of those little suitcase generators. I personally own one of these. They're a pretty good generator. This one kind of come in a mess. A guy was fiddling with it. He left me a love note. So we got, says, please call me. I was in the house when he dropped it off. And it says, has no spark, maybe the on-off switch or the oil indicator or something else. Thanks, and then his name and number. So I wanted to verify I had no spark, so I pulled the spark plug, no spark. And I checked the oil level. It's a little low, and the oil is absolutely black in it. So I've got it draining right now. I'll flip you around, let you take a look at the condition of the generator, how it came in. This is it. Front panel's off. I didn't get any mounting screws for any of the covers. Side cover's missing. It looks like this is from me draining the oil, but there's oil all through here, so it's been losing oil out of the drain plug. And the oil is just black. I'll show you that here in a minute. And I don't have the back cover, so I'm missing some panels. This is my setup here to check the spark. So let's take a look at this oil. Doesn't have any metal in it. Get you up here a little closer. Okay, there's the oil. It's pretty dark. So yeah, it's got some wear on it. It needed to be changed. So I think I'll put a little bit of 1030 in it. I believe is what it takes. I'll look it up, make sure. And then we'll see if it was the oil level safety that was cutting the spark out. So let me get some oil in it and I'll bring you right back. All right, I looked it up, it takes 1030. They said around 400 milliliters, about 13.5 ounces. So we'll go ahead and add that in. Put me a rag here in case I overfill it. The light here. Okay, I'm right up to the last thread. Grab the cap. Yeah, she's right full now. All right, let me get this situated so I can pull it without knocking you over. All right, you guys watch the spark plug and I'll pull on the pull cord. So we got the engine switch is on, tank vent is on. I got a jumper onto the ground. So think I see a light spark on that. What do you guys see? Okay, I think I saw a spark there. Put the spark plug back in. I don't even know if this thing's got gas in it. Yes, you're about half full of gas. Nope, better check the gap on that plug. Okay, it's gapped at 25 thousandths. All right, there we go. Okay, plugs in. Okay, I'm going to take the eco throttle off. And trying to remember on mine because I don't have this side cover. I think that's choke. All right. So let's see if this thing will hit. Okay, maybe that chokes off this way. Okay. Let's give it a little shot of gas. And we'll take that air filter cover off. I think I'm going to try just a little spray. It's kind of a ways in there. Okay. Take that cover off there, get a little more direct into the carburetor. Oh, mercy, that's tight. That. There we go. Let's choke off. Man, that just does not feel like it has any compression at all. Yeah, maybe we better do a compression test on it. All right, let me get set up for that. All right, there's the gauge. So let's see what we can get. Well, that is not good at all. Double check my setup here. Okay. Yeah, there is nothing. All right, let me get my bore scope out and we'll take a look down the hole, see if we can see anything. All right, there you go. This is just a bore scope hooks to my telephone. So we'll head down the spark plug hole. See what we can see. Pretty small. See if I can go to the side camera. Turn the light down a little bit. Pretty small hole. I don't see any massive scoring, so we'll go ahead and we'll have to check valves. So I'm going to have to pull this red cover off so I can get more at the motor. Had to tear this out of the case. I had kind of a hard time getting the case apart. All the bolts are seized up, but I got it apart. I wanted to check the valve lash, and the valve lash is good. I don't have a stuck valve. I can push them down, and well, the exhaust is really easy, but the intake is kind of slow. But I got valve lash. I have no compression at all. I can cover the intake and the exhaust, and I can feel it, the compression, but it's just not in the combustion chamber. So I thought, well, maybe the valve timing is off. So I brought it up on top dead center, and the timing on the cam here, there's two lines that line up with the case. It's right on the money. So that intake valve that's kind of hard to push down could be the issue, or something to do with the rings. Might have a broken ring, wore out ring. The oil was really dirty. So my next step is to crack this motor over and check the piston, see what's going on with it, check the cylinder. So I've drained the oil out of it. I'm going to pop these rocker arms off. Just set them over here. And that's the exhaust. And this is the intake. So now we'll roll this on its side, and we'll split this case. Need to, I probably don't need to take that off. So we need a 10 millimeter. We did get spark back on it by putting changing the oil, so that was good. All of these are the same length, and I got one more right down in here. And I'm going to have an extension for that. Okay, I think that's all of them. That'll come up with that. So let's just see if we can't nudge that open. There's a pry point right there. So let me get a little something to tap on that. So let's see here. Got some pry points on this side I can see. And it looks like there's some pry points right here. So it's probably all put together with that Honda bond, kind of a RTV. So we'll just have to be careful with it. Okay, you can see that coming up there. Yep, looks like I'm going to take that exhaust off after all. Same bolt. And it kind of comes up straight up. It doesn't come off even with the face. So there's that. It looks pretty clean inside. Try to take this timing belt off. It's a cam rod. Cam comes out. And the head doesn't come off, so you got to pull everything out the bottom, which means I'm going to have to take the crank off. There's just nothing easy about these. You gotta take everything off. Yeah, there's no way to get the piston out of the sleeve. Kind of like a chainsaw, you got to pull it out the bottom. So let's flip it over and we'll take that flywheel and stuff off. All right. Okay. Grab that 10mm. All right. Now we're getting down into the generator. Let's see if I got something I can pound on that with. Pretty good. Take that cup off of there. Back that off a couple of threads. Put a little up pressure on it. Yeah, that's got some pretty powerful magnets. I'm thinking I'm going to get that generator out of there. Pick up there, and that holds the wiring in. Snap a picture of this, just so I get the orientation of it back right. Okay. Couple of 8s here, it looks like. Okay, there's the rod. That looks really good. And I should be able to rotate this. Pull that out of there. There's that. The rings aren't stuck. Okay, let's get a light here. the exhaust. Yeah, that intake is tight as can be. I bet you that's why there's no compression. Here's the exhaust. See, it slides right out. There's the exhaust. Doesn't look like it's been sealing very well. But that intake is stuck. Yeah, you can kind of see on the valve there, right here, kind of like rust or some kind of buildup. Yeah, that's gummy. Yeah, and then if you look at the seating area, see if we can get this thing to focus. Right in here. It doesn't look like it's been making any kind of contact. So that is probably our lack of compression. So let's get that cleaned up. All right, I went in and cleaned up this valve. And just used a wire brush on the bench grinder. And I thought that it had a lot of wear on it, but it had like some kind of weird deposit. Let's see if I can get this camera to pick this up. But there you go. And you know, the whole thing cleaned up nice. Slides up and down in the valve guide good. You can even see where it's been had the valve lapping compound on it. Got a little bit of wear, but I think I can just lap that back in. But there's something that's going on with the inside here. That's not good. So anyway, that's where we're at. Looks like a valve job. And get the case all clean. I got a lot of cleaning. The thing is a filthy mess. But the rods look brand new. The rod bearings. Right here, those look good. I might pull one of these rings off and check it in the bore and see what my ring gap is. But I'm thinking it was at that intake valve was sticking. And it'd open it, but then it wouldn't close it fast enough and I'd lose my compression. So that is where we're at. So I'm going to get a little more organized here, and we got some parts to clean, and then we will be back. All right, I've been doing some cleaning and repairing. I had to, on this lower base, all these little nuts that holds this arch on had broke out, so I had to build up the plastic and put some epoxy in that. So I got this all sturdy now. And then I cleaned up the electronics portion of this, and cleaned out the gas tank, and mounted the panel back on. So that's ready to go back on. And had to do some repairing on these bolt holes here. It was pretty beat up. So I got the base started. I got the engine cleaned. And I'll spin you around so you can see that. Okay, here's the engine. I got all the components of it other than this air cleaner. I haven't cleaned that yet. So, but I've got everything else all cleaned up. I found that there was contaminants in the gas tank. Like maybe the gas can had water in it and it had rusted, but there was some kind of brown deposit on most everything. And so I had to clean up that intake valve. I'll get ready here in a minute. We'll go ahead and lap them in. I still probably have to go through the carburetor. I'm trying to think of what else. I'm sure the carburetor's got that same brown gunk in it. But I'm thinking we're about ready to put this back together. So I got, like I say, I got this cleaned up. I still need to, there's a housing that goes around the motor. I have to clean that up yet. And then the outer red case, it needs to be cleaned up yet. But I've got enough. I think I can build the motor. And so we'll get started on that. So let me get you set up a little better. All right. So we'll go ahead and grind these valves, or not grind them, but lap them. Exhaust doesn't have any wear. Intakes just slightly. So we'll go ahead and we'll put some lapping compound on these. Make sure that my stem's not going to hit on the back side here. That should be okay. There, so you can kind of see what I'm doing. And we'll put a little bit of this compound on here. Make sure the face is good and clean. The suction cup needs to grip onto that. Probably can't see much down in here. Well, the suction cup just does not want to grip. You got it. Okay. I don't know if you can see that or not. Try to get you a right there. You can kind of see that gray line. So that was the intake. Exhaust is even smaller. Try to get that compound off of the top of the valve so that it'll suction cup will grip it a little better. I think I got most of it. Okay, same thing here. You can see that little gray line. So that's good. So we got them cleaned up. I will, now I've got to clean all that lapping compound out of here, or it'll just lap those valves right to death. So I'll go ahead and clean these valves up again, and then we'll come in and we'll set the valves in the head. All right, I got this cleaned out good. So we'll go ahead and I'm just going to use the little suction cup from the valve grinder, or the valve lapper, and I think I can just hold that right up in there with that and set them springs. So we're going to put a little assembly lube on the shaft. And then we'll just set that up in the valve guide. It comes through right there. Then I'm going to hold that in place. And just, the spring doesn't have much tension, and just snap that spring on there, just like that. Now it works pretty good. Now we'll do that to the intake, or the exhaust. Get this valve guide, push it through, spring, And then the little keeper. Okay, there's that. Oh. There we go. All right. So there's the valves back in. Make sure the springs are seated good and they're not in there all crisscrossed. Okay, that looks good. Alrighty. Okay, piston. All right, we'll get this piston set up to go in. All right, let's go ahead and get this piston set in here. It's got this marking on it here, Z0D, and that needs to go towards the flywheel, which is this side. So that goes down. It's got a bevel here, so that should help the get the rings in. So we'll squirt a little oil in the cylinder. Kind of get a little oil in there, lubrication. Okay, the writing is down or towards the flywheel. We'll put a little, I've already set the offset on the rings, so we'll go ahead and get those all that. And that little offset, you just kind of get them started. I got a blunt screwdriver here. Just kind of work them in. Like that. Okay. Now that goes all the way up. Then we'll get the crankshaft. Put a little lube on the seal. Put a little assembly lube right here where the seal goes. Put a little bit in the bearings. Okay. A little drizzle on the rod thrower right there. Okay. I'm going to get a little block here to hold that rod up. Okay, now need a little higher. Just work that bearing down in that seat there. All right, that crank was kind of a pain to get in there. I finally had to get my heat gun and heat up the case a little bit, and then it dropped right in. So now we'll go ahead and set the rod. So we'll get a little bit of assembly lube on it. Drizzle a little bit down in there. On that side. Set in there. All right, go ahead and get that torque down. Okay. Everything's turned free. I can actually hear the air blowing out of the spark plug hole, so I'm sure we have compression. I'll stick my finger over this hole just to make sure. Back side. Yep, we got compression now. All right. So bring this up to top dead center. That's that little square on the crank here. It's top dead center on that line right there. Now we need to set the cam. And the cam has these little lines right here. And when you put it in the housing, the lines line up with that right there. So we will stick this in. Put the cam on. Get the lines lined up. A little assembly lube. There's a little flat on the shaft right here. And just roll it around till that's on. So we're top dead center there. We're on our timing marks there. We'll make sure everything's nice and clean, and then I believe we can put the two halves together. We got everything cleaned off. Tip that up a little bit so it sets a little better. There we go. We'll go ahead and this doesn't have a gasket. It uses RTV. So I got some oil resistant black. And we will just put us a small bead around the outside here. Okay. Looks like I've got it all put on there. I got the bearing lubed up and the governor lubed up. So now we'll just put a little dribble around that shaft. And we will slide this on there. And remember, it drops straight down. It doesn't come in with the parallel to the surface. So there's a, there we go, like that. Dowel pin here, dowel pin over here. So there's where our dowel pins are. So you can kind of line them up. And I can kind of turn the cam to help line up the governor. There, everything dropping in. Some blocks here so I don't push on the crank. Space this up a little more. There we go. Okay, got some distance on the crank now. Okay. All seems to be going down all right. Still turn the motor over. All right, we'll go ahead and put the bolts in. It takes 8 bolts. All right. They're on a 10 millimeter. The 10 millimeter head. Okay. Now we'll go ahead and torque them down. And it doesn't take much. According to the service manual, just about 4.5 nanometers. So that's not very much. It's, what is that, in inch pounds, about 44 inch pounds. It's not very much. Okay, I'm going to let that set a little bit, and then I'll come back and torque them again. In case that RTV was holding it out a little bit. So, can still turn the engine over. There you go. You can still turn the crank over. Gotta do a little cleanup here. I got good squeeze out all the way around. Okay, while we're waiting for that to set up, I might as well go ahead and put the rocker arms in. Let me make sure I don't have any RTV on my hands. And these will only go in one way. So, slide them in like that. Put it in the hole. Pretty easy. Here's the other rocker arm. I'm going to go ahead and put a little dab of assembly lube on that and on the pin. Fits down in there. Okay. Put these bolts back in here so I can keep track of them. All right. Kind of clean things up as we go. Spend all that time washing these parts off and then running them around with a bunch of assembly lube squeezed out all over. RTV and stuff. We want to make it look nice. Okay. All right. So I think we'll be working on this part next. This is the flywheel side. There's my alarm gone off. It's quitting time. So we will come back later on tonight or in the morning and finish this up. All right, I put a few things on. Forgot to hit record. But I got the stator on down here at the bottom, and it's just 2 bolts that mount it right here. And then the flywheel, which has the magnets in it, went on top of that. And you have to be real careful because that magnet is strong, and it's got to line the keyway up. And then I got the pickup here on the side, mounted with 2 bolts, and then the fan and the cup for the pull start, and that mounts with 2 bolts. So that's where we're at now. I will get ready and put this front cover on. And it just holds on with 3 bolts, I believe. And then there's a electrical grommet that goes in this slot here. So, kind of get things lined up here. Okay, there's that. And then the grommet fits in the side right here. It slides in. Okay. And it doesn't really, more of just a blower shroud to direct the air around to get it, keep it cool. So I just got 3 screws, or 3 bolts. Getting that one started, I can see that. There's that one. And then there's this one right here. And they're just a 10mm headed bolt. Like my 10 here. Right there. All right, that takes care of that. Then we've got this yellow wire right here, just out of view. This yellow wire right here is the low oil safety switch. We'll plug that in. All right. And then I believe we got a ground wire here. Looks like there's 2 ground lugs here. Those are 8s. So we'll get that grounded. Okay, there's that. I think I'm jumping ahead of the game here. I think I need to put the side cover on, or the housing. At least one side of it. This side here, because it kind of fits in and around. And you have to get it over this pulse line here. So let me pull them 10s off of there again, and we'll get that side cover on. I remember when I took that off, I had a heck of a time getting it out from underneath there. Okay, now I can get in there. So this just sets on here. Let's see, I need the one with the holes in it. Right here. So this fits on. Got to take off this motor mount. There we go. Take this little motor mount off here. I thought I could get away putting it on. Everything's got a order that it's going in. If not, you're going to be taking stuff on and off. So this is the engine breather, and this one goes over the pulse. And I believe there's just two bolts that hold it on. So we'll put them in. Like that. And then roll it over here. And we'll do the other side. It goes on like this. Make sure everything fits together good. Now see, we're getting ahead of ourselves again. I've got to put the exhaust on. Get that on. Okay. Now we can put the side cover on. I have to look around on the other side and make sure I didn't need to put the manifold, the intake manifold on. So I'll flip it back over to double check that. Goes right here. I don't know if I can get it on with the cover on. All right, looks like we can go ahead and get that on. Get that in place. Okay, something's not right because those don't fit. I got two 8mm up here on the valve for the valve cover bolts. And I think those are the manifold bolts. Yeah, that's the way it goes. Put those in there. So keep track of them. Okay, and that's there. Now we can put this manifold on. We'll use these little 8s. Okay, there's that. There's that. Now we can put the front cover on because it locks the shroud on. There's that. That. There's that. Okay. That goes over there, and that goes there. All right. These two hold on the front mount. This mount here. Okay. That holds the case together also. All right. Make sure everything fits together good. Got a little alignment problem here. Loosen this up. There we go. There. That fits in there better now. Okay. Fits in there. Got a good seal down that side. Good seal down this side. That'll line up when we put the valve cover on. Okay. Bring up our timing marks here. Okay. Should be top dead center right there. We'll go ahead and set our valves. Got some valve clearance. Intake is 15 and the exhaust is 20 plus or minus 2. So 15 and 20. Intake is 15. Yeah, intake is 15. So this one here is 15. See where we're setting. A little tight. Got a little tiny square drive on there. Oh, that feels good. And we need a 20. 16, 18, 20 right there. Yeah, that feels good. Okay, 20. A little tight. Okay, that feels good. All right. We'll put the valve cover on. Motor mount on. No gasket again. So we'll just put some more of this RTV on it. We'll just put it right here on the motor. Okay, that looks good. And this slips under that in that lid. Okay, got those snug down. Motor mount there. Okay, I'm going to put just a little RTV on these motor mounts to just kind of help them stick in place. There's those two. And I'm going to stick these on. Just like that. I'm hoping that'll make assembly a little easier so they don't fall off while I'm trying to put a thing together. We'll do these other ones down here. All right. There's that. Let's grab the muffler. It goes on right here. Stand this up. Maybe that'll be a little easier. Keep the gaskets all lined up. Mercy sakes. Okay. That was kind of difficult. I don't know if I had the exhaust manifold a little out of alignment or not, but she was sure hard to get lined up. All right. Carburetor. Put the dipstick in it so we don't get anything down in the motor. Okay, there's that. Probably can put the recoil on. This fits right there. And then the recoil comes out this side. So it fits like that. something like that. Okay, so there's the recoil. It's starting to look like a motor. So we have these two hoses. One is the engine breather. Put a little seal glide on it, slide it in a little easier. A little bit on that tube there. Okay, that goes like that. And then the pulse line slips on there like that. And that'll go over to the fuel tank, probably in one of these clips here. So, fuel line in there, that's what I'm thinking. Like that. Okay. All right, let me regroup on these tools. All right, let's get this mounted in the case. So, we've got these two mounts here, or these rubber bushings on the bottom. So we'll kind of lift that up, set that right in there. Reach around here. Okay, those mounts went in. Those mount went in. Oh, drop the top one here. And then it has these metal sleeves that kind of lock it in. You kind of wiggle it around and shove it in. Okay, there's that one. There's that one. Okay. There we go. So now we have the pulse line comes over and slides onto the fuel pump. I believe that hooks into the air cleaner. I've got a two-prong connection there, bullet connector there. So I'm not quite sure where all at. Must be on the control panel. This handle comes through here. This little plate here snaps under the top, down, and then it's got a screw hold it in. Right there. Okay. So a screw there for something. I think that holds the red cover on. Okay, now I believe the gas tank can fit on. You just have to spread this a little bit. It's got some tabs that fit in there on this side. And that goes back together. Got a fuel line over here on the end. Put a little seal glide on this. Help slide this on. Okay, that's on there. Okay, fuel tank's on. This is on. See, now I'm getting into where I need the nuts and bolts the customer still has at his house. So I guess we'll try to hook this electronics up. See if we can set it in here. Got all the harnesses here. That gas tank grommet will help hold that in place until we can get the screws for it. Go ahead and hook up all these connectors here on the side. Of course, you can't see anything. All right, let me get a light. I got a great big one in the back. This one right here. So let's slide that down. And I've got just a little bit of dielectric grease I'm going to put on that, just mainly for a lubricant. Help slide that on. It was cockeyed on there. I don't know whether he messed with it or whatever, but it was half unplugged. It was latched, but it was still not lined up very well. That looks a lot better now. Okay, we'll put the protective boot back over it. Then I've got a, looks like a 6-pin. Must be that one there. Kind of do the same thing. Not very much, just more or less just to help things slide together. We'll come under that one. It's a 6-pin. Okay. Next is a 4-pin. Okay, that's a, that's a 6. So there's a 4. And that snapped in. There's a ground. There's a 2. I'm thinking, okay, this is a spade connector, so it goes up into this one. And put a little dielectric on that to help slide. Okay, that snapped in. More connection down in there. Nothing there. It's a 6-pin. That's there. Got this bullet connector here. Missing a connector. Where would you be? There's the bullet connector. All right, let me lay this up on its side. Kind of need this 2-pin connector because that's the engine shutoff. That goes under there. Oh, hold on, that might be a fuel shutoff. Let's look at the carburetor here. There's a 4-pin. Okay, there's the 2-pin. I had plugged it in where the 4-pin needed to go. So there's our 2-pin. We got a ground wire here. Kind of a jumble of wires right there. There's our ground wire. Okay. That fits in there. It fits there. I know there's a special zip tie that goes right there. I think that goes there. And then the 4-pin off the carburetor for the eco throttle goes in the 4-pin slot. So that's all of the wiring. Okay. Oh, I wish I had them bolts to put that panel in. All right, get rid of that. I've got 2 long bolts. We'll go ahead and I think we can get the case hooked up now. Yeah, that goes there. That wire there. Pulse wire there, or pulse line. And that tucks there. It's going to go in the air filter. We're going to have to clean the carburetor yet. So, okay, that's there. That's there. All right. Boy, talk about a little puzzle there. But everything looks like it's in place now. I think I can go ahead and put the red cover on. And then we can go ahead and do the slip that on. We can do the carburetor through the side cover. And this has got to fit around that fuel line. That goes there, that goes there. Those seem to fit. front cover. Fits under. Okay. And then this one slides in under the wire. Pull a cord through. Alright. Make sure I'm not getting tangled up in the wires here. There's that. Okay. There's that. That's there. This is one of them screws that I had to drill the head off of to get it off. So I'm going to replace it with a Allen head. Okay. Make sure everything's fitting good. Okay. There's that. Okay, there's that. Still good at the spark plug. Think I might have some Allen headed screws to hold that front cover on, or Torx head. Just so the thing don't wobble around. That was not long enough. I think it's the right thread, but not long enough. Okay. And then we had one screw left right there. That goes right down here by the handle. All right. Well, I think we're about back to where we were. I just got to do that carburetor. Should we take a peek inside the bowl and see what it looks like? It's got some crud on it, but it's not. See that brown stuff? Let me get a light on it here. Maybe that'll help. See that brown stuff inside that bowl? It's really super fine. I don't know whether it's just dirt, you know, like if they've been camping like over to the sand dunes or something, but it's just really super smooth, but it's got through everything. So I'm thinking we're going to need to clean this carburetor out, and it's getting kind of late. It's dark out, so I am going to wait and do that in the morning. So I will pick up all this junk and get ready for tomorrow. All right, I took this carburetor apart, and it had some kind of powdery stuff in it. So we'll go ahead and put this in the sonic cleaner, and hopefully that'll correct the problem with that. So we'll just put all these little bits and pieces in here: the main jet and the emulsion tube, part of the eco throttle float. I'm going to leave the gasket out and the O-ring. So we'll get that put in the sonic cleaner and be back in about an hour. All right, I got the carburetor all back together. We'll go ahead and install it. Get these wires all figured out. Okay. Put this one behind the hose. Then this hooks up onto the back of the control electronics panel. Okay, that's all connected. A little hole down here for these lines to go into so that it can drain outside the case if it has to. I'm going to go behind that one. There. And put the gasket on there. Hook up the fuel line. It's a fuel line. And we've got a breather line that goes on the air filter. Slide over the studs. Put that breather line. That slides on a lot better. Need an 8. That. There's that. Fuel off. Go ahead and put some gas in it. I believe this is choke. The tank vent is on. Fuel is on. Back you out a little bit. All right, let's see if this baby will start. Let's try that as choke. All right. Seems like it runs pretty good. I think all the smoke you see is the assembly lube burning off. We'll run it a couple more times. I'll call the owner and tell him to bring the side covers by, or I guess he can put them on. But yeah, I think we got it. Yeah, it starts pretty easy now. All righty. Well, if he brings me them panels, I'll bring you back and show you the completed job. So until we get the panels, I guess that's it. All right, I called the customer on that Honda generator, and he's out of the country right now. Won't be back for a few days. And so we're gonna continue on, and we'll put that one out in the shed, and when he gets back, he'll pick it up. And I guess put his own panels on, else he'd have somebody bring them over. So anyway, if you like that video, give us a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you get all the videos, and we'll catch you on the next video. So have a great day. Thank you.